Hello, it is indeed Zach from Two Lads Productions, and I know it's been a while, but finally we can take a look at Munchkin, and I would say it's getting close to my heart, so to speak. Of course, being a D&D player, a game that sort of mocks my D&D, I think it's very funny, and also there's lots of jokes that anyone can get, very funny stuff here. But there's also lots of very good in-jokes that only a sort of D&D player would get. So if you do have D&D, you have to buy it. If you don't, you should still buy it. So, so I've got everything I need. It doesn't come with any dice apart from its sort of Munchkin dice. So, yeah, whatever. So I use my own dice, normally use 12-sided dice, just to keep our score. But I'll bring this camera closer and we can actually sort of get into the gameplay. So here we are, nice and close, and I did forget to mention that I do in fact own 2 expansions for it. This is Munchkin 2, just a few more cards and stuff, and same with this. This is Munchkin 4. I need to get Munchkin 3, so basically you can see that the cards are divided into 2 proper sections, and that is the treasure deck and the door deck. And everyone starts at level 1, and the ultimate goal is to get to level 10. And when you get And when you get to level 10, you will won the game. Everyone has their own level. But so how are you going to get to level 10? Well, there's a few things to help you. I'm just going to move these over here. At the beginning, you'll start with a few cards. I'm just going to use these. These are my example cards to make it simpler for you. And everyone can have a race, such as a halfling is one of them. Famous D&D race. Just keep that in front of me. And a class. Warrior, for example. And of course, D&D, there are far more, but they've taken the most famous ones and stuff. There's wizards and clerics, and there's, of course, dwarves, elves, etc. And all of them have their own powers, even though you can't quite read them. Halfling has powers, help them run away and stuff, and Warrior has bonuses in combat and everything, but it's very simplified. It's nothing too difficult to get. But an important thing about the game is about basically leveling up. So how do you level up? Well, you've got to kill monsters, and monsters are a very important part of the game. I need to try and find us a monster that we can use, for example, to fight. So if I can just find it, there's lots of very funny ones. Okay, here we go. Level 4 harpies. That's a great example. Hard to see here. Silly. There you go. It's kind of hard to see, but basically they are level 5, and it says they resist magic +5 against wizards. Luckily, I'm not a wizard, so basically their total is 4 because they are level 4. So how do we beat it? Well, it looks like our level is only 1. So we're going to have to try and find ways to beat it. We can try and up our score using special cards. For example, I've got a card called Magic Missile here, which gives +5 to either side in combat. So I would just pump it on me, my total would be 5, and I would kill it. By the way, you have to have a higher combat than the monster. You can't just have equal, otherwise the monster will win. Apart from if you're a warrior, it actually says you win tides in combat, so you can't see that. But, of course, before I would have kicked down the door into the next dungeon or whatever, I would have kitted myself up with some funny armour. For example, slimy armour, as you can see. And it just says at the top, if you can see it, +1 bonus. So I'm wearing that armour. That is my armour. And you can only have 1 armour. But there's other stuff. There's also headgear, like this badass bandana, which I actually wouldn't be able to use because it says usable by human only. But for the sake of example, I'm going to have it. And there's some more stuff. For example, the buckler of swashing, which is a +2 bonus, one-handed item. And basically, your items can only amount to having like 2 hands worth. You can't, use a bow and hold a sword or whatever. You've got to have a total. So I could have 2 one-handed items though. So my bucket of swashing is one of them. And there's also footgear, but I didn't take an example. So basically here, if I add them all up, my total is 6, 7. So I've got 7 total. So I can kill quite a lot here. So it looks like I can actually defeat the harpies. And when you defeat a monster, what happens? Well, it just gets discarded here in a pile or whatever you want to do with it. And you go up a level for killing any monster. And it also says at the bottom, 2 treasures. So then I would take treasures. Can I just note that the items and stuff are treasures as well? So I would get a treasure. Maybe it's something fun. Maybe it's like a sleep potion which I can use, or maybe it's one of these cards. I love these. It just says go up a level. Invoke obscure rules. If you ever played D&D, that does happen a lot. So you just invoke the obscure rules, instantly go up a level, and that's discarded wherever you want to discard it. And that is that's great. And there's you might get more items to help you out. Let's admit, there's more and more stuff. For example, you get very specific items, like this is only usable by dwarf. But at the same time, other people are going to be playing as well. Which basically, there's nothing preventing me from playing this, by the way. I don't get the bonus. So, people all around the table are going to have their own class and race and style. And you can actually team up with people, and you can trade items. You can't trade, like, halfling or whatever. But you can trade your, I could trade my buckler of swashing. Or, because I'm not a halfling, I'm not a dwarf, I'm a halfling, this hammer of kneecapping is of no use to me. So I could try and give it to someone who's a dwarf in exchange for more, exciting items. So there's a lot of cooperation with other players. But another interesting thing that the game does is allow you to fight with players. For example, I have a Misplacer Beast. If you ever played D&D, it's a joke about the Displacer Beast, which is a famous monster. This is level 11. I cannot kill it. My total is only 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 8. So I can request the help of another player. And the other player would come in and fight with me. And although I could say I'd give him, one of the treasures or whatever, ultimately, it'd be up to me, and he wouldn't get a level. Only I can get the level. So, you might have to bribe them. You might have to say, I'll give you my bucket of swashing if you help me, or, I'll give you 2 of the 3 treasures or something. Or I can ensure your safety. So they come in and they fight. If they want to, of course. But what is this other thing? What happens if you can't fight it? Well, it has something in the bottom called the bad stuff. And it's always got something funny. You appear to have misplaced some cards. Put your hand face up. Each player, starting with the lowest level, takes 1 card from your hand. It's got a... bad stuff is just, what happens if you fail. However, at the beginning, if you know you can't beat it, you can try and run away. And that means you roll this nice 6-sided dice, which comes with a little Munchkin head for the 1. So I would just roll it, and a 5 or a 6 succeeds. So it's a 4. I don't run away, the bad stuff happens. But if it were to be, say, a 6, like so, then I would just run away, nothing would happen, no treasure is gained. But some things have powers to add to it. I think elves get bonuses to run away, some monsters prevent you running away, etc., etc. Blah, 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 blah. And sometimes you'll kick down the door and it will be a curse like this. Curse lose 2 cards and people take your cards. All sorts of things like that. And 2 more little rules. If you kick down a door and it's not a monster, it could be, for example, a class card or it could be a curse, then you get to take a card face down so that no one knows what it is and you have that in your hand. Or, and for example, if I took a face-down curse card, I could play that curse card on someone I don't like. So that just adds a nice depth to the game. One more thing that I should explain is the gold pieces on the bottom of the card. If you could just see there, come on, 600 gold pieces. And if I can sell in one turn up to a total of 1,000 gold pieces, then I just go up a level. It doesn't save over time, all of your gold pieces just vanish at the end of your turn. But if you can sell on one turn as up to it, then you can. And you can't do it in response. If someone says, you've got to lose your items, you can't just, I'll sell them. You've got to actually just lose them. So, if something is of no use, you can at least sell it away, which is always good. And I do think, even though it sounds a bit intimidating, it is one of the best games that I have ever played. So I think now we need to take a look at the actual verdict now. Hey, not so fast though. Before we get there, we have to look at the nitpick section. I know you want to skip it, click anywhere, just skip it. So the first nitpick I have is, what's up with no level counters? I mean, it's a big problem. They do try and sell you level counters, whether it's like an iPod app, or they've got these little sort of knobs, but I don't get it. you know, surely a game that's all about going up levels should at least provide you with a level counter. That's why I have to use all of these dice, you know. But you didn't see that very well. Do it back here. All these dice. To try and keep my, you know, remember everyone's levels. And that can be a big problem if you're playing with lots of people. And the next nitpick, it's not really a bit, it's kind of a big one, this one, is actually, when I got the expansion packs, the actual backs of the cards are slightly different. I can understand that. What's very helpful is on the front, they've got this little symbol at the bottom, this little black dot here, but it's more, you know, precise up close. And that just tells you what set it's from, so in case you want to know if it's from, you know, the Need for Speed or whatever, you know, but actually the backs are slightly different. It's very hard to see. I don't think it shows up very well, but you can see one of them is a slightly darker brown than the other. And not this ruins the game, but it's kind of irritating when you're playing a game and you're just sort of, you can tell that it's not going to be one from the first set, or it's not going to be one from the last set, which is sometimes not so great. Other than that, it's fine to hard problems with the game. I like a lot of the artwork. Some of it at times seems a bit cheap, especially when at times they sort of use the same image twice and change like one little thing. But overall, the illustrator John Kavalik, I don't know. He is a very good illustrator, and I love his drawings actually. Other than that, that's basically the nitpick section. So, the verdict. So, the moment of truth. It's time to take a great look at the final verdict. So, step 1. What is the design? So, how does it look? How does it work? Well, it's getting an 8. I think it's good. I think it could be improved on. I mean, the artwork is quite funny and amusing, as you saw before. It's, you know, it's not a 10 or a 9. Next bit is an exciting bit indeed, because it is the theme. And what's it getting? A 9. And this will vary from person to person, because I think the reason it got a 9 from me is because I really do like, I'm a big Dungeons & Dragons fan, and if you get some of the sort of inside jokes and everything, it's very good. And lots of people have tried to take a spin on fantasy and everything, but I think this is one of the things that does it best, and you can really tell that they sort of know what they're talking about. Finally, the moment of truth is gameplay. So, what is gameplay getting? You might be able to see through the paper because it is getting a 10. It's just so good. I mean, the brilliant thing is that there is a lot of options in the game. I mean, I wish I could score sort of higher. I wish I could take these up to 20s, for example, because there are games with better gameplay than this. But I think 10, it really did deserve its 10. Because, there's loads of options that you can make, and there's loads of sort of pacts you can make, and it's very interactive. It's almost as interactive as Dungeons & Dragons is with this sort of thing. I mean, I don't know how they achieved it with a very simple idea, but there is a lot of strategy. You really plan how you're going to do it, and the class and the race and the items you're using do really affect your gameplay style, and there's lots of ways to choose. So, what does that score it over? Mathematicians would have figured it out. It's a 9 overall. I'm using the back of the theme, of course, but it is a 9 overall. And that's it very much deserves that. So, finally, that's Munchkin 9. What is next week? Maybe not even next week. Maybe I have half term right now, so I can get one out maybe tomorrow. Shh. What is it going to be? It's one I don't like so much. Cluedo.